Hi everyone, it's Jeanette here from the Sewing Studio with a lovely little block actually. This is another quilt from Pam and Nicky Lintott. So firstly, thank you to Pam and Nicky for lending us their quilt, but also giving us permission to film this. So it's their lovely teddy bear block. Now it's in a couple of their books actually. This is my book here. This is Best of Jelly Roll. So this is a compilation of some of their best-selling patterns from their different books. And that's where I've got it from. You can see here, I've got all my little markers of all the quilts I want to make from this book. So there's that one, and I think it's in one of their other Jelly Roll books as well. So I'm sure we'll put details of that in the description for you to have a look at. So I struggled with this block a little bit, not with making the block. That was really nice and simple. The instructions were very clear, and it came together really quite quickly. But with the fabric selection, now this was one that just wasn't speaking to me for ages. And if anybody had been here on the day where I was trying to select some fabrics for this, you would have all been laughing because I was literally walking around the shop holding the bolt of this dark brown fabric, looking for some fabrics to go with it. And I spent quite a while waiting for inspiration to strike and sort of fabric to speak to me. And then I eventually came across this one, which I decided on, which was from In the Jungle from Makawa. And it's a lovely sort of nice aqua colour, which I think sort of goes with that dark brown really nicely. And then I just threw in some little bits, and these were sort of offcuts, leftover layer cake squares from the Jacob's Ladder quilt that I did, just to sort of give it a bit more interest, to bring a second fabric in with it. And I also had some scraps from the same, and that's speckled. I think that's a Ruby Star speckled, and we sell that one here. We have that in stock all the time. It's speckled range from Ruby Star. So I just had some pieces of that from an offcut from a layer cake as well for his bow tie, and just sort of picking up some of the yellows and oranges in those rainbows. So as I said, as this is a Pam and Nicky pattern, I can't give away any of the sizes, but I can certainly show you sort of the technique for making the blocks. Now it's all based on sort of what they call flip and sew or flip and stitch, or another name for it is people might call it snowballing corners. So once you've sort of got that technique off, all the elements are made from that. And they made it really simple how to put it together. They just sort of did it, and I've not sewn this together yet, so you can see that these are all just done in sort of units. So you're working with a unit at a time. So they call this unit A, B, C, D, and E. And then once you have those 5 units, it all goes together. And then you can sort of add the features for the eyes and the nose. And I think on the quilt, they've just sort of appliqued some circles onto that to bring your bear to life. So let's have a little look here. And I thought what we could have a look at is sort of this row here, which is the C row, because, you know, sort of techniques, we've got some flying geese units, and there's these are sort of flying geese-ish, not perfect flying geese. There's a flying geese unit there. And then these are the flip and sew corners. So we're going to have a look at how to make the units for that. So as I said, all of these units are sort of done. What you just have to watch with this quilt is the mirror image. On each of the rows, you're doing mirror image seams so that you get the symmetry of the bear. So we'll just go through that. So I'm going to start by making this flying geese units here. So I've got my fabrics. I'm just going to put Teddy up there for now. We'll sew them together at the end, so you can see what the block in this one looks like completed. So these are the bits I'm going to use for making a flying geese unit. And we've done this many times before, and this is sort of the flip and sew method, where we're just going to draw a line on the backs of these, corner to corner. I'll just put that under the close-up so you can see what I've done there. Move that bit of fluff out of the way. And then we're going to take that to the machine. Now we're going to put it onto our block, and we want it so that the angles will eventually go in like that. But we've got to do one at a time, put that one on, press it back, and then we sew the second one. So I'm just going to line that one up there. Now I found it best to work methodically with these, just do, and it's all done in the instructions where they say, right, to make unit A, and all the steps to make unit A, and it's got diagrams. Now I'm not very good reading instructions. There's something in my brain that doesn't absorb all the information from a written instruction. So what I was doing was looking at the sizing from the written instruction, but then actually following the diagram of how to put it together. and it was just really simple, and I could do that quite easily. So let's take those units to the machine. So it's always easier to start along this flat side rather than at the corner. Now I've started on my starter scrap, and that's to prevent the needle from pushing down a small piece. When I'm working in small areas in particular, it just stops the needle pushing the fabric down into the throat plate. I very rarely use a, so let's just sew forward a bit more. Sorry, finish my sentence. I very rarely use a single hole throat plate because I'm always nudging my needle about, and on this 1/4 inch foot, the needle is not in the center position, so it wouldn't work. Now I'm just going to position it so the needle is just to the outside of that line. And I know we had a question in the comments when I was showing you this, because I think I said that somebody said they call it kissing the line. And I know in the comments somebody asked, why do you call it kissing the line, or why do you have to kiss the line, and why aren't you sewing on the line? If you sew on the line, by the time you fold that back, you'll be a little bit short of the corner, because that thread and that fold in the fabric will use up a little bit of space. So we just kiss the outside of the line and just give ourselves sort of basically a thread's width, and that will just allow for that thread and that fold back, so that our fabric, the point of this fabric, will meet that corner a little bit better. So that's why we kiss the line and don't sew directly on it. Now, always before I trim anything or do anything else, I just fold that back and just make sure, and you can see there it sort of reaches the outside of that really nicely. So we're going to take that to the iron and press that back, and then once that's pressed back, we can add that one. Also trim that bit of fabric away from the back there. We want to reduce bulk, and then we can add that one. And then we're just going to trim off. You can use scissors for this bit, but I tend to be a rotary cutter girl. And then we're going to put the second square there. So the reason we needed to open that back now is because that top part of that now is going to cross over that piece there. Now I'm just going to make sure I line that up really well. Where's my pin gone? Let's put a pin there to help hold it. I'm going to start on my starter piece again because we're starting on a corner, a small bit of the fabric. And it'll also help me line up my needle. So once again, I'm just going to check that everything comes out to that corner, and it does. So we can give that a press and trim. Now, the other thing I did as I was making these blocks is I kept checking the sizes of the units as I went along so that I wasn't going to have problems fitting it all together at a later stage. I just found that kept me nice and square, and things sort of lined up and all the match points matched. And I'm just trimming off those little bits of fabric. So that's one of the elements you need in several places. But like I say, that technique of sort of adding corners to bits of fabric is used throughout the whole of the teddy bear. So once you've sort of mastered that, you've got it really. Right, let's just move that out of the way. Now, the other bit I just want to show you, and let's just bring this piece back in. I've just pulled out this unit here, is this. And this is where we've just got to be mindful of mirror image. And as I said, in each row, there's sort of a mirror image element in it. So just sort of watch that as you go. So these are the pieces for that. And I'm going to do the same here. We're going to draw a diagonal line on the back of these. Wondering whether I'd see the red, but I can. And I'm going to refer to my unit here because we want one that needs to flip out that way, and that'll be that side. So we need to put the angle that way. So let me pin that one. And when I was doing this, I left the diagram in front of me so I could just keep referring back, and then I just kept checking the pieces as I went. I don't think I did any unpicking actually by doing that. And this one, it goes that way. So the line on that one's going that way, and the line on that one's going that way. And when we fold that one back, it's going to make that angle there. So that's just the only thing you have to watch with all the different units here, that you've got that angle going in the right direction. But like I say, I just worked through it step by step, and it came together really well. So we can take those to the machine, and sew, and once again we're going to sew just slightly to the outside, just kiss that line there, and on that one. And then I can chain piece, and all that means is we're just going to feed this next one straight through. So let's take those to the iron, and I'll check that I'm happy with those as well. See, multitasking there, walking and checking as we go. Yeah, perfect. Well, not perfect, but good. We don't need perfection. And there's our units for that one, and they go like that. So let's just trim that away. And as I said, at home what I was doing was measuring these units after I'd made them, just to make sure that they were coming out at the right size. So that's the technique for a lot of the elements. We're just adding sort of squares and making triangles in the corners for a lot of the elements. So work your way through each of the units step by step. Sorry, excuse me. And then all those will come together. So you can see there, we're beginning to sort of make this row here. And that would be the elements for those. So it actually came together really quite quickly. So shall we sew this one together? Sorry, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. And then we'll see what the teddy bear looks like at the end. So let me just lay him out again. Right, I don't think it matters which order we work in. Now there are very good pressing instructions in all of those. So follow those, it'll tell you which way to press your seams. Now this first seam I'm going to do doesn't have anything to match. So we can just sew. I should say while I'm talking, the quilt behind me, the finished size is 46 inch squared. So let's put a pin in the middle there as well. So that's 4 blocks. But of course you can make it bigger. Or I was thinking actually if you line them all up, you can make a nice bed runner for a child's bed, would be rather nice as well. Right, I'm going to keep that unit. And we want to sew these together with 1/4 inch. Now I'm just going to check where we've got match points. That's one. So I'm just going to pin my match points first. I think there's only one on this block. Yeah. And that's just where we've got 2 seams coming together, and that's what I mean by the match point. Now I'm going to pin the ends. I'm going to put a pin in the centre. So let's take those 2 elements. I've got 1/4 inch seam. And we can just go. Now, As we get to this one, this is one of our flying geese elements, and what I always sort of call it is X marks the spot. So you can see here where we've got two seams that come together. We need to make sure the needle either goes straight through that centre point there or slightly to the right of it. If we go this way, we're beginning to cut off the tip of that flying geese. So I'm just going to go very slowly and just make sure. And if we need to manoeuvre a little bit, I do. And now we can feed this one through. Now I'm going to have to be a bit more mindful on this because that was the piece that didn't have anything to match. And this one we've got some match points, so I just need to watch for those. This is my first one. Once again, we've got two seams crossing. So I'm just going to make sure, yeah, everything's sitting flat there. This is our next match point here. And now we can take this first element, that's his little feet at the bottom. So we can add, this one. So let me just pin that one. Right, there's two match points here. Note to self. But like I say, all the pressing directions are in there, so all your seams should nest very nicely. And then I will just put a pin in the end there just to help hold that, because it's a long piece, it's a long edge to sew. Ooh. We've got another X marks the spot here, so I'm just going to watch that one. I think I just sailed over one of my match points, so hopefully it's all right. I didn't check it before I got to it. But it was pinned, so chances are. And then we've got another X there. Now we've got one more seam where we put the two halves of the bear together. Yeah, I'm happy with that, how that's looking. Let's get his face the right way around. So we've got match points there, that's his little bow tie. Now we've got another X there. So we're just going to be, and that's going to be the centre of the bow tie. So we want to try and get this nice and accurate, because that will be a point your eye will probably go to, because it's quite bright. And there's quite a bulk of fabric there, and that sometimes can throw your needle offline. So just go through that gently. Should we have a look how we did? I'm a little bit off in that centre. I might unpick that and redo that, but not today. Not now, perhaps I should say. Actually, pressing it I might press that seam open. So let's take him to the iron and give him a press, and then we can have a look. I'm being very fussy on that, but like I say, if you're not happy. Now you can see on some of these seams where they don't match with anything, I've opened them up, and that just helps everything lie flatter. I think there was also a comment that somebody was saying about, you know, why a quilter's pressing seams open. Surely they're easier to match if they're pressed to one side. Yes, they are. I tend to press a seam open where there isn't any seams to match, because it will help your block lay flatter. So on this one, this seam won't need to nest in with anything, so we can press it open. But it is personal preference. Some people do press seams open and still match. I think it's what you get used to doing, really, and what you prefer. But you definitely get a flatter block with seams open. Now, once I open that centre of that bow tie may lay a bit better. So I shall pass judgment once that's pressed. A little bit of the seam there that's flipped. Let me just... Now there's quite a few bias edges on this, so you don't want to be sort of wiggling your iron about too much. Just let the heat of the iron go through and do its work. And where you can, follow the grain of the fabric. And that will prevent distorting. Now I'm just going to flip that round. Now this seam, I'm going to press, because this is just one strip of fabric, so it's going to want to go that way, and it'll probably lie flatter that way. And then this final one where we've got seams on both sides, I will press open again. Sometimes it's quite amazing how different a block looks once you've actually given it a press. Yeah, even the centre of that bow tie looks better now I've pressed it. Oh, he's upside down. He's doing a headstand. There we are. So there's our teddy bear block. So all I need to do now is do some little circles and applique them on for his nose and for his eyes. But that's our nice teddy bear block. So I'm just going to iron out his bow tie a bit more there. It's looking a bit crumpled. He's very smart. So that's a really nice, fun block for a child. Now, my plan for this is, you're all going to laugh. Oh, she's going to make another cushion. I am going to make another cushion. I did think about doing a bed runner for a child's bed, and then I thought, wouldn't it be lovely to make a nice children's reading cushion? Because then we can put a pocket in it, and the child can put their book in it, and they can go and sit somewhere and read to the teddy bear, which I think would just be absolutely lovely. So I'm going to put a border on it. I've got some of this fabric left from his bow tie, so I'm going to put some nice bright fun colours, because I wanted to really sort of jazz it up for a nice child's, sort of nice bright cheerful children's sort of fabrics. I'll put some border strips around him, and we'll make a nice big comfy reading cushion for a child. Unfortunately, I don't have any children in my family. Our youngest in our family is 29, but maybe she'd like a teddy bear reading cushion. I don't know. Maybe I need to ask her. So that's the teddy bear block. As I said, the quilt that is in the book, you make 4 of those blocks, and it turns out a 46-inch square, and they've added the sashing and the cornerstones to that as well. So thank you once again to Pam and Nicky Lintott for letting us show that pattern and do this block. I really like it. I think that's a lovely one for a child. And I think it's going to look great as a reading cushion. So as I said, this is actually my book from home, Best of Jelly Roll Quilts from Pam and Nicky, but it is in one of those other books. We'll put both of those details in the description below, so if anybody's interested in those and having a go. But this came together really quite quickly. I sort of did it all in the morning, and that was sort of finding the fabrics and working my way through the instructions. But ever so simple. So thank you for that. I hope you give it a go. If you do, please do share your photos with us. I'd like to see what fabrics you select, what you decide on for this. I thought I've got lots of these fabrics left, these browns left. So I thought the next one I might do, I might reverse the colours and have him with sort of a dark head with sort of pale ears and chest, which will look quite good as well. So thank you ever so much for spending some time with me here again today, and I hope you'll join us again here next time in the sewing studio.